Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show in which we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. Today is warm, which it's funny, it went from being cold to being warm, and I'm like, man, what's up? I'm actually sweating a little bit, so that's why there's no video. Also, I told y'all, like, I only can do so much video, because video is a lot more time for me to go through, just for the pure fact that once I put it inside of Windows Movie Maker, it creates all sorts of silliness, and if I try to edit inside of Windows Movie Maker, there's more silliness. So that's just it. I mean, is video gone away permanently? No. But this episode is definitely, as you can tell, not going to be video. Anyway, we're going to talk about two things real quick and in today's show. And the first of which is just some philosophical jazz, mainly revolving around the Trinity, the aggro defensive shenanigans, what that means for you and your planning for the future. And then I told you I was going to look at the power batteries once again and look at future implications. Also, minor correction that was brought up. Yeah, Thanos' doesn't work on improved targeting on his 100-point trait. So, sorry about that. I misspoke. Thank you, Jake, for pointing that out. Oh, speaking of Jake, before I continue, in Kansas City, we are going to, in Independence technically, at Game Cafe, we're going to have Extra Life heroclix charity raffle. You don't have to show up. You can put in your raffle tickets and they'll mail you your prizes. So that's a bonus. So if you don't really want to come all the way to Kansas City, and you want to put in a bunch of raffle tickets, then there you go. It's going on October 25th, 5th. And it goes, all the proceeds go to KU Pediatrics. And Game Cafe is at 107 West Lexington Avenue, Independence, Missouri, 64050. So, okay. All right, so let's go into it. I was having a conversation the other day, and it sort of dawned on me how heroclix design works. And what happens is something goes along the lines like this. They usually start off with aggro, and they make tons and tons of damaging figures that do ridiculous amounts of damage, just like I told you all a couple of years ago about the golden ratio. The golden ratio is between 100 and 130 points. You can find figures with 11 attack or 4 damage or both. That should never have happened, and that didn't happen in old heroclix. Okay? Just didn't. Alright, so because of that golden ratio of 11 attack and 4 damage in that wonderful little square of time, it created what I like to call the silliness. And really that's where we get most of our aggro problems right now, is that the golden ratio is literally that. It brings you too much prosperity. You can't really move past it. I was talking to this gentleman, and I was just pointing out the fact that I have not invested in a huge tent pole in years unless someone requests me to. Because investing in a huge tent pole is pointless. Pointless. Even if they have multi-attack, for the price that you spent on those two figures, you can get on that one figure, you could get 2 to 3 golden ratio figures and deal more damage. And with friendly mind control, that's even more ridiculous. Now I know you're saying Dark Logos diminishing damage reduction returns. And I would say, yeah, that applies for your big, huge, pumped up steroided figure as well. So just something to sort of point out there. So we go from aggro, and then we start to realize, oh my gosh, the golden ratio is too good. And they start pumping out defensive characters and stupid stuff like, hey, guy, I have a 20 defense, which doesn't matter in an era when everyone has an 11 or 12 attack by some means. Oh, I have a 22, 23. Just wait till you see the printed 21 and everyone craps a brick. Like, it just will. Okay, it's going to happen. A printed 21 is coming and a printed 22 is coming because they pushed it so far that by the time that they say, like, oh gosh, he has a 22, but his stats can't be modified, like Despotellis, but it's not going to stop him from using defend. Like, they don't think that far. Like, they don't, they don't say, like, man, he can't share his defensive values. That would be a good idea. Anyway, so with that, we're now back at this new interesting era. And this interesting era puts us in a position where, everyone's trying to stop this and that. And, oh my gosh, I have free 8 squares of barrier that I can put up every turn. And then what happens is eventually that annoyance kicks in. And it's like, man, I would kill this dude with my golden ratio cannon only if he didn't have 15 freaking squares of barrier blocking his entire team off. I can't shoot him. Okay. So then comes shenanigans. Boom, boom. The third in the trinity of heroclix thought and design. Shenanigans says, well, guess what? Now I can ignore terrain for shooting. Hey, I can make it so that you can't shoot. I can make it so you can't put up barrier. I can make it so that my entire team is not targeted if they're within 5 squares of super duper man. Like, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden, you might not have this super damage output and you might not have crazy defense, but all of a sudden you're just ripping your opponent's, mental state. Because they're like, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do this other thing. Oh, I'm mad. And they turn green, and you think they're going to turn into Incredible Hulk, but it's just actually that they're sick to their stomach. Okay. So a lot of people, what ends up happening is in this process, they find themselves locked to one school of thought. And when their school of thought isn't in season, they're like, man, I'm pissed off at the game, so I'm going to quit. All this cheese. And I know I greatly have dramatized, what goes through people's heads, but in all honesty, that's to a great extent what goes on. People, when their style of play is not in season, and you have to look at it like that, they quit. And then when it gets all aggro-y, shenanigan-y, or defensive again, they'll come back. But you have to tell them, like, come back. It's about that time. Okay? So, what does this have to do with your planning? Right now, I feel we are about to transition fully into shenanigan season. Like, we're at the tail end of defensive season. I think WizKids started to see that like, ooh, yeah, we put out too much defensive stuff and we did too many changes that makes defensive stuff ridiculous. The no die crap, for example. Okay, so with that, out comes the shenanigans. Now, we've had some let me rephrase it. We've had some strong shenanigans that have been really tough to stack. High enough point game, you can stack them. But we've had some tough shenanigans that's been hard to stack. And so I think what we're going to end up seeing is more and more shenanigans that we're just able to say, yeah, this completely stacks. This gets to the realm of ridiculous. And you could fit it in a 400, 500 point team, at least 2 or 3 shenanigan elements. Okay. Now, what does this mean for you in your playing sphere? Okay. And your financial planning, just coming back again, is that if you have a lot of figures that are aggro based right now, probably a good time to sell. Main reason is, are we going to transition to aggro anytime soon? Nope. We're about to begin shenanigan season. Okay. So shenanigan season is going to at least be 8 months to a year. Okay. So there's that. The next thing that becomes silly, and I'm just sort of pointing it out now, is if you start looking at your defensive options are obviously going to start looking at like they're on the decline. Because like your shenanigans are just getting better and better and better. Okay. So, does that mean that you should just hold on to all your shenanigans stuff? Not really. You need to figure out which shenanigans you're going to like double down on and which ones you're like, I'm not going to deal with that quite yet. Okay. The other thing is in your forecasting, you need to start looking at figures that shut down shenanigans or make better shenanigans or just great shenanigans. So you can stack shenanigans on top of each other. Okay. So, good example of this. You go into a Golden Age game and you're like, oh man, I need to design a team. And you look around and it's like, man, I notice that no one's played Highfather in a while. Yeah, no one has played Highfather in a while, and I'm starting to see a lot of 200, 250 point figures pop up. I see a lot of, Superboy Primes rolling through my venue because everyone has one now because of War of Light. Okay, so, those are being popular in really big games. I'm seeing, 200 point Master Mold and freaking Cap Sentinel. I'm tired of this. I'm tired. 300 point Trinity of Sin. I'm tired of it. Okay, so what do you say to that? It's like, you know what? Shenanigans. Just pure shenanigans. So you're like, oh, I got Highfather. Okay, so that might be a good starting place. You also could say, hey, I have Scarlet Witch, and I take away all your team abilities. No Mystics for you, Trinity of Sin. No Power Cosmic for you, there, Galactus. But you have a problem. You can't really stack, certain shenanigans together. So what you start analyzing is like, man, Highfather is nice, but he doesn't work with some of the better shenanigans, such as like Professor X. He doesn't really stack well with that. He creates a different type of problem because all of a sudden Professor X can't mind control and do his jazz because Highfather, sort of shuts him down. Okay, so then I have to start saying, is it better for me to have like Highfather, or is it better for me to have Professor X? And I'm like, yeah, I'll stick with Professor X. Okay, Professor X gives me a lot more control, and he also creates a situation in which I slow down my opponent's tempo ridiculously. Then I'm just like, okay, so then I just need to start adding in effects that allow me to add action tokens while doing damage, or just add in action tokens onto figures for arbitrary reasons, such as Batmite. Oh, I'm sorry your guy can't attack or running shot because Batmite put a token on him. And when you clear, because I'm giving Batmite willpower with his lovely friend Harvey Dent, I'm going to do it again. And while I'm doing this, I'm just going to slowly kill your guys and greatly protect them. One of my favorite shenanigans that came out recently within the last year, and this is a Golden Age shenanigan, and I'm not going to unleash to you the full brokenness of it, is Beta Ray Bill. Longtime listeners of the show know about me and my love for some Beta Ray Bill. And Under the Thundercloud. That's, you're going to fear that sound when you're under that thundercloud. I combined him with several levels of shenanigans, and sort of bear with me. When he first came out, I used to copy him with Cypher, and then when the Batman set came out, I had Cypher, Beta Ray Bill, and whoever else I wanted, because I knew I was going to get a bunch of Batman teams. Okay, I just knew I was going to get a bunch of Batman teams. So I pissed off so many people with that. Then, of course, Beta Ray Bill retires and Cypher retires. So what I get now, end up using now, is Shadowlass and the Black Lantern ring. I mean, not the Black Lantern ring, the Blacklight ring. Both of those characters create situations where, my figures have stealth, and now just add in the silliness of Beta Ray Bill, and it's like, bam. Now, sort of coming back to what does this mean? You need to start making a list of characters that you're like, man, I'm going to bust this dude out in Golden Age. I'm going to bust this guy out in Modern Age. You have your staples. I have Beta Ray Bill. I won't say that I put Beta Ray Bill on a pedestal, nor is he the first and foremost figure that I put out there. But buddy, if it's Golden Age and I want the prize, and I know what season it is, that horse face dude will come out of nowhere and just light people up. So you have to, start being aware of like, hey, these are some advantages I have, these some disadvantages I have, but there's some common elements that I can start looking at for my shenanigans. Okay, so definitely start in your heroclix notebook. If you need to make a second notebook called running trends or note come back to, like Beta Ray Bill, when shenanigans gets heavy and there's too much anti-stealth, come back to Beta Ray Bill in Golden Age. Bam. Okay, too much Avengers Initiative in Superman, Beta Ray Bill. There you go. And I get around your Bill BS. None of my guys can be targeted. Period. Haha. There you go. Okay, and hold up, wait. I gotta make sure on that, because I'm gonna say that, and then lo and behold, I'll find out that I'm wrong. So, going all the way back, Guardians of the Galaxy, Galactic Guardians, and Beta Ray Bill. Bum, bum, bum. Come on, load. Okay, Cosmic Storm and Eclipse, opposing characters win 6 squares with the possessing the wing symbol, blah, blah, blah. Friendly characters within 6 squares that can use stealth have lines of fire drawn to them, blocked. Oh, never mind, it's blocked. Yeah, you could still target the highest point character. It's blocked. No, yeah, because a wall would block line of fire. You can't be targeted. So never mind. Doesn't stop Bill, agent of AIM. So, okay. So I was wrong on that. All right, so anyway, but you can start to see like how this goes down. So start playing accordingly, because we're shifting out of rabbit season into duck season, and that's just how it goes. It's how it goes. And when deer season comes around, I like some deer sausage. That stuff is great. Like if you know someone that can cook some really good deer sausage, buddy. Oh man, it's good, and it's lean too. So it's good for you. So anyway, now let's go on to the part that like 85% of you care about, is analysis of the lanterns and the implications of the future for the lanterns. I think that this is a major issue that most folks are still sleeping on, and I know it's September, and we should have gotten our darn lanterns by now. But that hasn't happened, so that makes me a little bit concerned that they're not in storage yet. But this gives us a little bit of time to prepare. Also, if for anybody that did the con in your store and you didn't get your constructs, I feel for you, because I'm in your boat. Because I won some constructs from a con in your store in Springfield, and they didn't get them, and the way it sounds is they probably won't get them. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to get, but I know it's not going to be worth $110 in value. So yay. So that's mostly it. Anyway, so let's start going into it. I'm going to start with the Green Lantern battery, and I do think that the Green Lantern battery is going to be good for a while. Mainly because we don't have a lot of stuff that just shuts down, free actions. And I know like some people are like, well, you can play Agent 13 and White Witch, and you can, and they can die easily. And so can the power battery too, if you're not careful. But you can set up a lot of early game control to limit your opponent's options. Now, here's the thing that I think a lot of folks forget about the Green Lantern power battery and it shutting down multiple free actions. It does not shut down free actions. It shuts down multiple free actions from the same character. which means that if you're playing it, you have to be a lot more tactical and prioritize your free action portion. That's it. A lot of folks I've played, and they'll be like, no, you can't do that, it's a free action. And I'm like, no, I can, I just can't use this outwit here. Okay, so I know we've had enough time for everyone to get, a lot more experience with it and whatnot, but it's still one of those common misconceptions. It's like, oh, you can't do free actions, and it's like, no. So it allows for a lot of control. It shuts down what I feel, sort of sadly, it shuts down multi-attack. And if you feel that multi-attack needed nerfed, I mean, name the figure right now in modern age that's really ruling the roost with multi-attack, and I really can't think of one. Even with duo attack, it's like you're not doing anything ridiculous. So it does shut down team bases, so I think that's one main reason, to an extent, why a lot of the team-based meta has sort of fallen off. And it shuts down the base. It does not shut down pop-offs. Okay? Pop-offs are still good. Still good. And this is one thing to sort of work around some of the silliness with dealing with the Green Lantern Power Battery. If you are running a team base, what you do is you can't run working together if you're over 200 points. But what you do is say this: power action, pop off a guy so you still have your prob. And then your opponent's like, no, you popped off a guy. And I'm like, no, that's a power action. I didn't use working together. Okay? Because here's the thing. We talk about shortcuts. Most people are so used to seeing figures being popped off with working together, they automatically assume that popping figures off for solo adventure is part of working together. And it is not. It's part of the team base. So, yes. So just keep that in mind. All right, so moving on from Green Lantern Battery to the White Lantern Battery. The White Lantern Battery's emotional spectrum gives us a very interesting setup because it gives us a power action heal. And that in and of itself is ridiculous. Definitely super ridiculous. A lot of folks might not really realize how much control that can give you. The fact that it does heal, all characters within the surrounding area, but you're able to say, oh, you're on that region click and you could heal 4. No, I'm just going to power action heal you, put you on a, crappy 16 defense and barrier. So now I can do something to you and you can't heal. And if you push to try to get on region, guess what? Just going to light you up. Okay, so there's some elements there. All right. The other thing to think about is, of course, stop clicks, and that's the biggest abuse. Is what is it? What's his name? 2099 Spider-Man. Oh my goodness! Talk about silly. Add in the White Lantern Ring's ability to just come in and say, "Hey, homie, guess what? Stop click on top of a stop click," because it kicks in if you're KO'd. So it's like stop click insurance. It's like, oh, yep, you want to make sure that they don't die, which can, in certain figures' cases, create a no die state. But that's really tough. Best figures for this is Dr. Light. Two Dr. Lights. Watch your opponents cry. Just it's silly. Okay. Next up, and also when you do 2 Dr. Lights, don't tell them who told you that. Do not. I don't want emails like, man, you told that guy about the double Dr. Light Tech and now I can't kill him. And then when I shoot him, I can't target him because he's on the stop click. And then I shoot the other one there on the stop click. And then I almost about to kill him. And they had the return back from the ring. And then they just power action healed themselves. And then I couldn't kill him. I'm like, well, yeah, that's how it goes, homie. I mean, it's how it goes. It's not invincible, but it's pretty darn annoying. All right, next up is Red Lantern, and its emotional spectrum is pretty much just getting giant reach, which is sort of lame. It really is. Now note, this is really great if your guy has Quake. Gorgon, I'm looking at you. Avalanche, I'm sort of looking at you, but you already do super powerful Quake. Okay, another thing that it can become really interesting with is your charge and also your hypersonic speed. A lot of people don't really pay attention to that. That you still have hypersonic speed. I mean, you still have giant reach while a giant, just because there's not that many giants with hypersonic speed. So you have that element, and now all of a sudden, it allows you to start looking at the map a little bit differently. It allows you to say, okay, my movement is for a melee attack. Sorry, my swing in a melee attack is +1. And I can shut down a lot of things just because of that. Meta in, do I see the Red Lantern being like one of the big deals? No. I see a lot more people just playing the ring. And so it makes it a limitation on the real power of the power battery, or the real oomph of the power battery. But that's one thing of, if we get a character that allows you to do a melee attack against everybody, it can draw a line of fire to, or that's that you can draw, or create some effect where you can do a super like AoE melee attack, then yes, you're going to see that guy with the Red Lantern power battery. Also, I just think that when you start combining poison with giant reach, it's not really helping your affair, because you can't synchronize giant reach with the poison. Whereas with the Green Lantern Corps, shutting down multiple free actions and also getting willpower works together. White Lantern power battery, stop clicks plus healing works together. Like, there's nothing really hindering you with that. Okay, next up, Indigo Tribe. I'm going to make my statement now. And some of you might disagree with me. The two most difficult lanterns to build around are Indigo Tribe and Orange Lantern, but by far they are the two strongest. So you might say, well, Dark Logos, why are you skipping Orange Lantern? Orange Lantern is a little bit more in depth, and I want a little bit more time to go into that. Indigo Tribe, emotional spectrum, construct, blah, 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 blah. Okay. All right. Opposing characters that aren't within 4 squares of a friendly corpse member or adjacent to the power battery can't draw lines of fire to friendly corpse members. Now, note, it says opposing characters that aren't within 4 squares of a friendly corpse member. What does this mean? Let's say Billy Joe Bob Man has the Indigo Lantern ring, the nutchuck, okay? And you're trying to shoot Super Duper Man with John Stewart. As long as you get within 4 squares of Billy Bob, guess what? Super Duper Man can be lit up. A lot of people don't notice that, because all it says is here, just opposing characters that aren't within 4 squares of not the target, of a friendly corpse member or adjacent to the power battery, which puts you at a real dumb situation right there. Why are you adjacent to that power battery? Unless you're trying to kill it. Can't draw lines of fire to friendly core members. I keep saying corpse, but core members. Okay, so what does this mean? Like, yeah, we have ghetto. What is it? We have ghetto, super ghetto, League of Assassins in hand. But it also is nice because just like League of Assassins in hand, oh, my opponent is within, is 8 squares away, and they're not within 4 squares of a core member. Guess what? You can't prop me on my turn. You can't prop me on your turn. You can't perplex me on your turn. You can't outwit me. You can't do anything. You just can't draw a line of fire. Sorry, homie. So that creates some problems for most people in their thinking. Then you just sort of stack it with the ring, that the ring just says, oh, I took damage because you got close. I'm teleport over and I'm going to heal one. Not even have to do an action for it. It's just like, bloop. Here we go. I mitigated what you've done. So what we're looking at is the Indigo Lantern is very shenanigan and mildly based in mitigation. Does it work completely together with the ring? Yes, it does. It works fully together with the ring. So there's nothing in it that you're like, ooh, this isn't the greatest. Okay, so let's go back to Orange Lantern, and I said I needed time to break it down, and here's why. I'm going to read all of it because it's sort of complicated. Emotional spectrum greed. If the power battery attached power ring and constructs are all the same color, give the power battery a power action and choose a power. Note, you are giving the power battery a power action, not the character. And choose a power, combat ability, or team ability that a friendly core member can use. Opposing characters can't use that power or ability until your next turn. Why is this an issue? Why is this so strong yet so complicated? This is the power battery that requires you to think ahead and say to yourself, my team has this major flaw. I have that same element on my team, or and I can negate it using the power battery. Or you're saying to yourself, my biggest problem is a mirror match, because if I deal with the mirror match, then bam, I'm going to have these problems because of the team ability or because of this, that, or the other. Okay. This lantern gives you an incentive to run the following: Mystics, Superman, Avengers Initiative, Impervious, Shape Change, Super Senses, i.e. freaking Super Scroll, Zombie Super Scroll. Just put it, or any other scroll out there. Just put them down. They'll have most of the powers you need to negate. Okay. It also makes Resurrection Man with this lantern ridiculous, because the entire time your opponent is probably sweating bullets like, oh, please don't roll pink, so you take away my invincible. Like, please don't. Okay, so there is a lot of control, but it requires for your forecasting and your prediction skills to be S-class. You need to be fully aware of how your people and your venue think and what they're going to be doing. If you're tired of dealing with the Star Sapphire ring every freaking week, then maybe, just maybe, you want to, pack a Mystics and play the Orange Lantern. And just be like, hey, you can have your shape changed. I got Pulse Wave, but you're not going to get that Mystics. I'm tired of this. I'm tired. I got Battle Fury, mofos. I got Battle Fury. I got Shriek. What's up, son? What's up? So there's that. Now, the other thing as well, if you start to detect blah, blah, blah this team is starting to be run every freaking week, and I'm tired of it. I.e., like, oh, I'm tired of CSA. I'm tired of Justice League. I'm tired of Avengers, because trust me, it's going to happen. All you have to do is say, yeah, okay, you're depending on that team ability for Avengers or Mystics or JSA. That's gone. And you have taken a lot of wind out of the sails of your opponent. And you might say, hey, Dark Logos, that's a power action to do that. And I'm like, yeah, it is a power action to do what Scarlet Witch does without paying for Scarlet Witch. Point taken. All right, so there's that. Next up is the Sinestro Core Battery. And this one, I think, is going to be the most just popular by demand. But we already know that. We already knew that. Okay, so here's the deal. And before I even go into it, if you have not planned on figuring out ways of destroying a Sinestro Core Battery, you better. Just better. And we already know why. Because there are enough Sinestro Core fanboys that will play it. And they're going to play it with Sinestro. Just period. Okay? So just be ready for it. Don't say I didn't warn you and I don't care about you. But they just are. Okay? So does that mean you're probably going to see some one-man army Sinestro, with the power battery, jank, with whatever else on them? Yeah, probably. With the entity and whatever else. Probably 3 entities if they had the chance, So that is a huge thing to sort of just think about. Is that if you don't have a plan for that, then yeah, you're going to have a problem. So let's start off. Emotional spectrum for Sinestro Core is opposing characters modify their attack values by -2 when targeting a friendly core member with a higher point value. Why is this a problem? Why is this a problem? Because all you need to do is just start having a bunch of high point guys. Now, no, you heard me at the beginning of the cast sort of say, I'm just not a fan of high point figures because of the golden ratio. Okay. This is the only threat to the golden ratio that sort of says, man, there's a little lead in that gold there. Because if someone plays a team of very expensive people and then says, yeah, I'm going to put this lantern here and I put parallax on so-and-so, and now they have +1 all stats, except, +1 all stats, and yeah, you're looking at a very, very bad situation to go up against, okay? Even more so if you're starting looking at Colossals with this power battery. It is horrible. Because I'm not going to say it's going to be the douchebag thing to do, but it would be the smart thing to do. Because all of a sudden, you now have something that if it gets on Prob or Perplex, can see your Colossal no matter where it is on the map, unless it's an indoor map. Okay. So that's something to really sort of keep in mind. And the fact is that the ring gives you another negative perplex. So you could just be like, I don't like you attacking me. You have -2 to your attack, guy who has the most damage, and then I just perplex it down again, guy with the most damage. So now I have there's a 3 difference between your defense, your attack, and my defense. And oh yeah, I have somebody chilling in the back perplexing up my defense. So now there's 4, 5, 6. You're not hitting me. And I'm just going to put it into perspective. An average Colossal starts at a 19D. You lower the average attack value, which is let's say on the high end. Let's not even go to average. Let's go on the high end. You lower their attack, a 12 attack down to a 10 perplex it down to a 9. A 9. They need a 10 or higher to hit you. Okay, now some folks are like, man, that's not too bad. Okay. If I perplex up my attack or replace my defense value with Despotellis, okay, and I'm doing that jank. All right, so now I have a 20, and I perplex up my defense to a 21. All right, that's a huge gap there. That's a huge gap. Because what it's saying is the only way you're going to hit me is a crit hit with a 9 attack. So, is the Sinestro Core battery the most powerful battery? No. Is it ridiculous? Yes. Can it be abused easily? Yes. Are there counters? Yes. There are a couple of core counters. The first counter, if you have any figure that says, you know, my stats can't be lowered. So that's essential. The next is you're looking at the book being one of the primary ways of you just saying I break even. Okay, that's another sort of key element. Another thing to just look at is outsiders and just get characters with good base stats. And then stack prob. If you start seeing that Sinestro Core is very popular battery, just start stacking prob and piss them off. And piss people off, because that works with, they might have jacked with your attack, but you also have to look at it like this. The moment that you play a Sinestro Core battery, you're either saying, A, this figure is my army, or these few figures are my army, versus your multitude. You also can do like mad perplex stacking. I do not support that right now, but you can do it if it becomes necessary. Okay. So enough on that. Let's look at the Star Sapphire ring and Star Sapphire battery. Emotional spectrum love. If the power battery attached power ring and constructs are all the same, friendly core members modify their range values by +1 for each opposing character within line of fire. Now, again, line of fire just means you can draw a line of fire to them. It can be across the map. If you have a wide open field, you can just be like, I draw a line of fire to 3 of you. I have +3 to my range. Thank you. Okay. A lot of people might overthink that. Okay. Now, why is this broken? Hello, Shriek. I have given you a sniper rifle of death. Not only that, in the name of love, I also have allowed you to have vision to 3 of your potential mates. And now the entire map is covered in your effect of love and hate and chaos. Yes. Thank you very much and have a great day. It's not love without, getting enraged in a bar fight. Yeah. So what does this mean? What does this mean? It means that if you're playing this, aura effects like freaking Professor X and science police officers and other dumb aura effects that are based off your freaking range and not a stat, just a flat value. Not just a flat value. Why couldn't it just, aura effects, 6 range, 5 range, 4 range, 8 range. Like you would just say flat, boom, whatever this range is. How hard is it to add one more little bit of ink, to put in one little number? How much more are they going to charge you? Really? Anyway, so add in mystics and shape change and increase range. Star Sapphires are going to get ridiculous. Now, against the stealth team and you don't have stealth, not that powerful. But if you're packing that Avengers initiative and that Superman, man, you're going to You're going to start show them the nerd love real quick right there. So that's one of the big elements to sort of just keep in mind. Is that you need to have line of fire to the targets, which also means, hey, characters with that 12 range, like Tomare. Sorry, those characters like that become ridiculous because now they have a 15. They possibly could have a 15 range. And running. Oh my gosh! Sorry, part of me threw up inside. In running shot. So, just some things for you to, keep in mind. Is this the most powerful combo that you can get? No, I'm not. I'm still holding to Indigo and Orange Lantern. Is this still really strong? Yes. Okay. Next up is Blue Lanterns. All will be well. Gosh darn it. And Blue Lantern has a nice effect which says, during each of your opponent's turns, one friendly core member may re-roll a roll made for itself. Yay, re-rolling fun rolls for whatever they may be. And so, oh gosh. It's wow, I have this effect that goes off during your turn. If I roll it, boom. Get to re-roll that. Oh, wow. Super senses. Get to re-roll that. Shape change. Get to re-roll that. Scrolls. Get to re-roll that. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can just get to re-roll with this. Now, you need to make sure that you're stacking those powers, but at the other end is you're getting a perplex and you're getting a reroll. So you're getting a chance to possibly escape. You add in Fear Itself, Doctor Strange, and yeah, your opponent won't be too happy with you. I would say, this is just me talking, I would say for sure, this setup is probably best with a Mystics team, with a mystical team. The main reason is you have so much prob. And real brief, I'm going to step away from the lanterns, and I'm going to introduce to you a concept that has been long forgotten, and is an ancient secret heroclix technique taught by the master George Masu in his world championship. I call it the invisible wall. The invisible wall is stacking prob, preferably 5 or more, because prob always scales infinitely up. Always. Because if you're missing, you can always prob to hit. If you're hitting, you can always prob your opponent to miss. Just plain and simple. Okay? So the invisible wall is a stealth shenanigan. Not necessarily in the fact that it's stealth and, stealth figure. Is the fact that most people don't see it until the invisible wall has formed. Now, back in the day when prob had 10 range, the invisible wall was ridiculous. The invisible wall was like a crashing wave. Now you have to position a little bit better or have more expensive high range prob. But by having multiple probs, you can surround yourself in this aura of you telling your opponent, forget you and the train that you rode in on, and I'm going to send you back to dodge. Because every time you try to hit me, you're going to have to hit this 4 to 5 times. And against a Sinestro Core Lantern base team, this will wreck them. This will wreck them. Because if you're doing invisible wall 4, 5, 6 times in a row, in turns in a row, they're just going to get worn out. And they're going to start having this psychology of disbelief. Because it's not necessarily the issue of you missing them. It's the fact that they invested all these points so that they could hit you. But if you're just coming back like invisible wall, wax on, wax off, I judo throw you, grasshopper, then all of a sudden your opponent is just like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Okay, so there's a lot of that. So definitely invisible wall, wax on, wax off, combined with the Blue Lantern core battery, all will be well, my friends. All will be well. Okay, so definitely check that out. Also, we already know who's the biggest supporter of this, and his name is Absorbing Man. So yeah, if it wasn't dumb before, it's dumb now. All right. Next up, we have the Black Lantern Power Battery. He's on the last one on our list for today. The Black Lantern Power Battery, really overall, not fully feeling it. But he allows for some very interesting things. So let's go into it. Blah, 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 blah. Core members can use steal energy as a result of damage. As a result of damaging a higher point character. That I don't like. I can use steal energy as a result of damaging a higher point character. That's dumb. With an attack, increase the healing by 1. So, first of all, if it sort of says to you, it's like, hey, if you go out there and you have a little guy and he decides to punch a bigger guy, then he can heal more, which is great. It's really great. The problem comes in is that 9 times out of 10, you don't need steal energy to keep your machine going. And I'm sorry, if you need steal energy to keep your machine going, you have a very long list of problems in this meta. Now note, I'm not against steal energy. Please note that. I'm not against the use of steal energy, and I'm not against the melee elements of the game. I actually believe that the melee elements of this game serve a very strong purpose. But if you build your team around the fact that you can use steal energy, and when you do, and you hit a higher point character, you can get +1 to your healing. There's only like 2 characters that I can think of off the top of my head that benefit from this, that are range. I'm just off the top of my head, like the Zombie Firestorm, Black Lantern Firestorm, and the Black Queen. I think Black Queen. And that's it. Okay, so you're playing this very weird melee game, and it's not fun. It is not fun. You get no aura effects, no total field effects. It sucks. It really sucks. I mean, if you were saying like, oh, dude, I got a bunch of hand ninjas and blah, 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 then yeah, okay, great for you. But what's going to end up happening is that those little punk dudes that you put on your team are going to get one-shotted. They're just going to get one-shotted. So, this by far is the worst lantern. It's the worst lantern. Now, if you're playing a bunch of Black Lanterns, yay you, it's the best lantern. But in all honesty, you're better off with any of the other lanterns and making some sort of death joke, okay? I mean, like I can literally go through all of these and make a death joke, okay? All right, so Green Lantern. Hey, guess what? I will you to death. You know, it was my will to die. White Lantern. Welcome to undeath. You are now a Lich King. Okay, Red Lantern, you're going to learn to hate life. Orange Lantern, I devour death. Indigo Try. Let me give you a mercy killing. Sinestro Core, you will fear the death that's coming. Star Sapphire, you will learn to love the grave. Blue Lantern Corps, I hope to see you soon in my death fiery grasp. I mean, come on, it's so easy. You can just run your entire core with any of the other batteries, and they will run better. Period. So, gosh. So that's mainly it for today's show. just wanted everyone to get some analysis on that, because I think I covered the rings before, but I never really covered the batteries. I do think that the meta that's coming, and again, we're taking that step ahead. I think the ones that the things that we need to be on the lookout for definitely is that Orange Lantern. If you feel that you are in, if there's too much simpatico between how you play and how those around you play, Orange Lantern will F them up so hard. It just will. Yeah, just it'll mess them up so hard. Next after that, Star Sapphire and Indigo Tribe. You can there's so many levels that you can dig with that. Definitely with Indigo, that it's silly. It also allows you with that Indigo ring a lot of spatial manipulation that most people are not looking out for. The fact that you can have a guy that's in trouble automatically just teleport away and just be like, poof, I'm out of here. I'm so outie, son. You know, so there's that. And let me just look at that Indigo Tribe ring one more time. Otherwise, this character can use Indigo Tribe keyword, can use support when a non-adjacent friendly character within 6 squares takes 3 or more damage. After, it's just within 6 squares. It's not even line of fire. After action resolved, if that character hasn't been healed this turn, you may place this character adjacent to that character and heal that character of 1 damage. Yeah, so you can just be like, oh, you did 3 damage to so-and-so. They're within 6 range and behind 2 walls. Poof, I'm gone. Oh, you were about to kill that figure? So what it creates with the Indigo Lantern situation is like, oh, you took shot on so-and-so. I come over to heal. Then we're going to move again. And then you won't have line of fire to us, but we will have line of fire to you. And again, why I'm saying this is probably one of the stronger ones. Your skill level and placement level has to be high. Whereas with the other ones, some of the other ones, your team building has to be high. So like Orange Lantern, your team building has to be high. You have to be high skilled with that. Okay. Star Sapphire, intermediate. Blue Lantern, you have to design your team around that. So your team building is high. Your placement element is really high with that Black Lantern because, again, you're using freaking Steel Energy. Steel Energy. Okay. And Red Lantern ring because you're using poison. Okay. But when it comes to placement, Indigo, by far, number 1. The best for placement play. So if you know a guy that doesn't build great teams but has excellent placement, Indigo Tribe constructs, by far, drop the whatever you need to get whatever you need on eBay. Just to get those constructs, just get it. Just get it. Oh, feel that sigh, feel that air come out. Okay, so that's it. For today's episode. I'd like to thank you all for listening. You can follow me on Twitter. It came from outer space and told me that the spectrum is out there fighting and kicking butt. You can check out Twitter with all my random musings, sometimes my tournament results, and just, like I said, random thoughts. Definitely, I haven't got any HCO codes, but at the same time, I haven't really got any emails about people playing HCO. So I'm going to move on to probably something else, like customized shout-outs or something like that. What else? Yes, you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com, Jake. That's my email. That's my email. If you wish to opine, keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. That's just an inside joke. That's just an inside joke for me. So definitely tell me what you think about this week's show. Also, with the lanterns coming out, how do you think your venue is going to react to the lanterns being out and having some diversity for your War of Light events with the lantern constructs and whatnot? You can also check out the blog, startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. If you want private coaching, you can find the donation button on the blog. And for the low introductory price of $15, I will coach you privately and also build teams for you, which normally I don't do. In the email, if you send me a team, I will help you tweak it, but I don't really build teams for people from scratch. If you hire me for a coach, I will build your team from scratch and walk you through how to play it and why it works, which pretty much no one else is going to be doing for you. So if you know anyone that might be interested for a birthday present, for yourself, you want to hire me to do a lecture in front of your group on live stream or something, hit me up and we can arrange that. Again, people, like I said, my job don't care about me, so I am trying to hit you all up and say, hey, I will provide you advanced goods and services. Does that mean that I'm withholding from the show? No, I withhold nothing from the show, but that I'm getting PMs for more and more people wanting stuff that can't be taken care of in an email. So I'm just noticing trends. So that is it for this week's episode. I like to thank you all for listening. You all are a great audience. Enjoy the veal and tip your server. And remember, we all have to start over sometime.